Hey there, it's Olivia-Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm starting a graphic novel reading vlog. So in this vlog I'm going to be reading 4 graphic novels for however long that takes me, and I'll be sharing my thoughts and feelings along the way. I've already got my very first graphic novel that I'm going to start with, and I should say that this video is part of my 2025 TBR challenge, and the section that we are on right now is the take a picture, it'll last longer section. Just for me. So that's where we are at. We're in June, and for this I'm going to start with Demon in the Wood by Leigh Bardugo. So this is a graphic novel, a shadow and bone graphic novel, so it's set in that world, and we're following the origin story of the Darkling, who rocked my teenage world. It's been many years since I've read the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I loved the first book, I hated the middle book, and then I felt very mediocre about the last book, and especially unhappy with how it ended, just like everybody else. But when the Darkling said, fine, make me your villain, I changed. I just transformed into somebody who could love a villain the way that I loved the Darkling. So all these years later I've come back around for the nostalgia factor, and I'm curious to see what this will tell me about the Darkling. So let's go on that journey together. I'll dive in, I'll do some scans of the pages. I've got a cup of tea here which you might recognize from another vlog. Hint, it's gingerbread flavoured, and we'll see how I go. Good morning. I woke up this morning and I read until the halfway mark in Demon in the Wood. So I've just been reading and reading and reading, and I am really enjoying this. It's very easy to read, it goes by very quickly, and it's nice. It feels very slow. I'm halfway through and not that much has happened in the grand scheme of things, but I don't really care because I'm having a great time. I love the Grisha world. I love the powers, I love the culture, the language that she's created. So being back in the Grisha world just feels nostalgic. It feels like coming home, and so it just feels very comforting. And this one does explain everything, so if you're not familiar with the Grisha world you could technically start here. I don't recommend that, but you could. But also it just feels so familiar that I just sank right back into it. I really like the Darkling as a young him. He's so sweet and genuine, and it's interesting seeing how much he is restraining himself and how much he sees himself, or his mother sees him, as an adult, and so he's treated as such rather than another child. I find the mother-son relationship that we see in here very interesting. First of all, I've got a bit of a problem. I am in love with the Darkling, but I seem to have also equally fallen in love with his mother here. Like, I think she's so cool. She's powerful, she's scary, she's ferocious, but she's also incredibly intelligent and smart. She's a terrible mother. You can see that her parenting skills are lacking, but you can see how she could be the kind of person who could build a leader, because that's what the Darkling is. Whether he's a good leader or a bad leader, he is a leader. So you can see kind of in their interactions and their conversations how he comes to be who he is. I really like that this book is not doing what I really dislike. One of my least favourite things is when you're doing a villain origin story and you make the person closest to them a villain as well, a worse villain than them. So you're saying they're actually not the main villain was the person who traumatized them by being a villain themselves. And instead you can see, like, maybe the Darkling was traumatized by what his mother has done to him, but his mom's not a villain. So that's what I quite like about this. Like, I like that it's probably going to show us a different kind of origin story than what you may expect, so that's fun to read. The artwork is nice. I do think there's like some slight nitpicky details to the artwork which aren't my favourite thing, but I think the artwork kind of suits the story, and there's a lot that the artwork does really well. Like, it shows expressions really well. It's telling the story in the way you want a graphic novel to. It's like nice to look at. I've already shown you snippets, but I do think the artwork is good. And kind of flicking through, you can see like the changing colours, so you could tell that when we get to certain scenes in each section, like that scene has a key colour that comes through a lot, then the next scene has a key colour that comes through a lot, and I do like that in my graphic novels. So artwork, good. Characterization, great. Storyline, it's alright. There's not that much happening, but I don't really think I'm here for like a big action-packed story. And less so than in prose novels. In graphic novels, I'm more happy to read slice of life stuff. This is by no means slice of life, but just saying generally, I'm more happy to read slice of life stuff what is in a graphic novel. This is not slice of life. I can tell that this story is going to go somewhere, but it's more so a character journey than a like big action scene fighting plot, and I'm happy with that too. Really enjoying this, even more than I kind of thought that I would. There's always something to returning to a world after you haven't read it for quite a while, and yet this is just picking me right up where I left off. So if you're a fan of the Grisha world, I do think this is worth your time and worth reading. But let's keep reading. I'm in the mood to keep reading. I've done some chores this morning, some laundry and stuff, so I'm gonna make myself a cup of tea and actually just sit down and read for a bit. Hi, I'm here to update you on this lovely day that I'm having with my reading for this vlog. So I finished reading Demon in the Wood. I gave this 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I really liked where this went. I really liked the ending. I just had such a good time. And in the author's note that Leigh Bardugo writes, she says, is the Darkling a hero or is he a villain? And when you see this story, that kind of puts it in a bit more perspective, and I really like that. I just think it was very clever what it amounted to, and you can just so clearly see how from this story he becomes who he is later. It just felt like it fit in seamlessly to the timeline and the world that we knew of the Grisha. I wouldn't change anything. Like, I wouldn't change the artwork, I wouldn't change the story. I loved it. I had a fantastic time reading it. I enjoyed feeling that nostalgia and just the story unraveling to the way that it did. I started to feel for the characters, and so moments were even more impactful because of how much I cared about the characters. So why would I rate this less than 5 stars if I don't have any notes for it whatsoever? And I had such a good reading experience. So that was my first graphic novel for this vlog, and we are on a good roll so far. And I'm just going to continue right on to my next graphic novel, and that is going to be The Harrowing by Kristen, Kiesling and Hickman. Now this is a young adult graphic novel which is about this girl here, and she should be worrying about normal things like whether her best friend is something more or not, but she's not able to focus and think about those things because she keeps having terrible visions of violence and horror, and they're becoming more frequent and happening more often when she ends up kidnapped in the back of a van and taken somewhere else. And she discovers that where she's been taken to is a boarding school specifically made for people who are called the Harrows, those who can see the future of murders before they happen. She is very happy about this. She's learning their ways. She falls into a found family, and then she starts having visions of her best friend. So maybe her best friend is going to commit a murder. And that is what the synopsis tells you, which feels like it's telling me quite a lot, okay? But we're going to delve in, see how it goes. I'm going to show you the artwork because the colour scheme in this one is black and red. As you can see from the cover, it's going to be a very dark story, I think. So yeah, let's keep reading. It's the next day and I'm just so tired. I'm so tired. I've been working this weekend, as in not working work, just working life. I've cleaned the flat from top to bottom. I've done so much laundry. I was just doing some ironing. I have done paperwork that we needed to do. Lots of things have been done this weekend. Lots of things that I've been putting off, like buying a TV stand for this TV we have and we don't have a stand for it. Like all the things that I've been putting off doing, they have been done. They've been done, which is fantastic. It just means I've been on my feet all weekend. So basically I've been doing a chore, reading a bit, doing a chore, reading a bit, and I am exhausted. I'm so exhausted and the weekend isn't finished. For the rest of the day, I don't really show you my chores because it's not that exciting, but for the rest of the day I plan to do the food shop, I plan to do an Instagram post, and I plan to try and build Simi's electric wheelchair again. Simi has recently bought an electric wheelchair. Power to them for doing that, amazing. It's my job to build it as a carer. Really just because Simi can't, and if you know me, I'm just not an instructions person. I don't follow instructions very well at all. That's why me and the recipe book, we really have to gel, because I will look at the ingredients list and kind of follow it, and it's why I'm not a great baker and I'm a better chef, because you can kind of freelance a little bit when you're cooking. And I just, yeah, building furniture, not my forte at all. Anything where it's like, here's some instructions, here's some pictures, it's like it's a foreign language to me. I'm halfway through the Harrowing. I'm halfway through this graphic novel. My mind's kind of been taken over by Sarah Simone. I was up until like 2:30 AM yesterday rereading a Sarah Simone I've already read, and I started reading a new one too. So I've been a bit distracted from this book, but I am enjoying it. I feel like it's still, I'm halfway through and it's still kind of setting up the story, because actually for a graphic novel this is a very complex, for a graphic novel standalone, this is a very complex world that they built. This is a very complex kind of system that we have to be introduced to, and then just understand what her gifts are, and then just understand how they're using it. And up until now it's just been slowly building our understanding of what a harrow is and what a harrow does. And I've pretty much just reached the point where she started to question the system. She knows what a harrow is and she knows what a harrow does, and I explained it to you previously, but now she's not sure if what they're doing is the right thing, because she's discovered how they bring the people that they think will do the murders to justice. And it's kind of raising a bit of a Death Note question. It's not the same question as Death Note, but it's making me think of Death Note, because in this question is, if you know somebody's going to commit a crime but they haven't committed the crime yet, should you penalize them for it if you've stopped them from being able to do that crime? I'm very curious to see where the message and theme of this is going to go. It's also become very clear now that we understand more about how the harrows work, why the color palette is black and red, because black and red are the colors that feature the most in this graphic novel. Now the artwork is like, this kind of artwork is something that suits the story. It suits the story. It feels very grey and gothic and upsetting. And also actually some of the images in this are a bit upsetting, because they have to see so much murder and so many crimes being committed before they happen. And I don't think it's that, you know, visceral on the page, but I'm a horror reader, so I can take a lot of visceral visuals, whereas I think for some people it would be a bit intense, all of these visuals of like crimes happening again and again and again. I'm enjoying it. I don't love it yet, and I'm curious to just see what it's going to do, so I'm keeping a very open mind about this book. But yeah, I'm just so tired. I think I need to have a little lay down, and I might read during that little lay down, so let's do that. Hello, so we are here to do an update because I finished reading The Harrowing last night, right before I went to sleep. And I have to say that in the end I found this was just an okay graphic novel. Like, it was the good kind of okay, but it does this thing that I do think quite a few graphic novels do, where it has a brilliant concept and it's such a cool concept. But because it's such a cool and complex concept, you have to spend most of the graphic novel setting it up, and it means any of the plot that you then want to have set in this wonderful world you've created comes very rushed at the end. And so I felt like what it built to at the end was just a bit too fast. It was a bit too back to back to back, and it could have just slowed down. I wish it could have been longer, or I wish this could have been a duology series, because I would have liked to see the plot kind of develop a bit more, and then also have answers not come so easily, so that there was a bit more of a challenge in terms of getting to where we did at the end, because I think the plot that it has and its themes is quite serious in the end, and then it presented a really good dilemma and didn't really take that dilemma as far as it could have, and decided to go an easy route out rather than a more complex one. So this was a good read. It just isn't going to be my next favourite graphic novel. I liked it a bit less than the first one that we read for this vlog. That means we get to move on to our third graphic novel, and that is going to be Ghost Roast by Shawnelle Gibbs and Shawneé Gibbs and Emily Cannon. So 3 people. And Ghost Roast is a young adult graphic novel following our main character, and she tries her best to stay out of her dad's paranormal removal service where he hunts ghosts and removes them for people who don't want them. But when she goes on a night in the town with her friends and it backfires and it goes really wrong, she ends up punished by her dad, and the dad's punishment is that she has to work for him all summer long. And as she does so, she kind of discovers that while her dad uses high-tech equipment to be able to find the ghosts and hunt them, she can see them herself. And I think it's gonna create a plot. I've looked through the artwork of this, so this is a proof, which means most of the artwork's in black and white, but in the beginning it shows you what it looks like when it's in full colour. So I'll give you a little scan so you can see the artwork, but I am loving the colours and the art that I'm seeing in this. So I think I need to, if I enjoy it, I'm probably going to try and buy myself a finished copy so that I can have it in all its colourful glory. But that's what we're going to be reading next. But seeing as we're on book 3 out of 4, it means we are officially halfway through this vlog. And what we do here is we read books and we drink tea. So we are going to take my beloved but also slightly hated at the moment Advent tea calendar. We are going to choose our next tea. I feel like we've been doing pretty well with this lately because I've been vlogging a lot. We're going for number 15. Okay. Oh, this is good. This is really good. So the tea I got was it's all falling apart. So the tea that I got was the chamomile flower tea, and I have drunk Tea Pig's chamomile tea before and I know it's good, so I'm pretty much in store for a good time when I drink this. Hallelujah. So what does it say? Where there is tea, there is hope. That is a quote from Arthur Wing Pinero. Lovely quote. I agree completely. And let's see what they have to say about this tea. So most chamomile teas are made by crushing the flowers, which is not a nice thing to do, and the best chamomile tea comes from brewing the whole flowers, which is exactly what we do. The chamomile flower is celebrated for its health benefits, which includes calming, aiding sleep, and supporting digestion. I've had this before, and when you see, what you'll see when I steep it, I'll show you a close-up, is that in the tea bag you can see the individual chamomile flowers, which is actually really lovely. Oh, this is going to be lovely. Can't wait to drink it, and I can't wait to start in on my book. So if you're wondering why I'm in a hotel room, the short story is I am in Edinburgh for Chimera Festival, which I'm here for work because some of my authors are there. And yeah, I've been reading Ghost Roast and I will give you an update on it. I'm just really tired from all the travel and then going to TL Hoochu's event today. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna rest for a little bit. Then I've booked myself a cinema ticket. So I'm gonna go and see Ballerina, which is set in the same world as John Wick, but it's not about John Wick. It's about a new character called Ballerina. And I'm looking forward to seeing it because I love John Wick a lot. I love all the John Wick films. I've got 2 John Wick like fan art posters on my walls, so that's how big a fan I am of John Wick. But I'm not a TV series watcher, so all of these spin-off TV series they've done, like The Continental and all that, it's just not for me. I'm not a TV series watcher at all, so if I'm watching a TV series, that's a big deal for me. And even though like some of my favorite film franchises have done spin-off TV series, like it doesn't matter. So yeah, it's a film, so that's why I'm gonna give it a go. Alright, I really hope this is the last time I talk to a camera today because I've filmed so many videos, so many. 5 videos, 4 TikToks, I've talked out on my day off today. So I'm back in London, I'm back from Edinburgh and my Monday is a day off because I've been working through the weekend. And on the train back I finished 2 graphic novels. So first of all Ghost Roast, which I talked about before. I absolutely really enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun. I liked where the plot went. It's one of those light-hearted, enjoyable graphic novels, even though it's dealing with grief and slavery as well in the storyline at some point. So I appreciated this graphic novel. I think the artwork is fantastic. I was a little bit sad when we switched from the bright colours to the black and white because I really liked the colours and the artwork in particular, and I really want to get this full coloured and then do a reread because I think there's so much more I could get out of this having the colours in it as well. But it's, even reading it black and white, the storyline could shine, and I really like the character development and the themes of friendship and family and everything in this. It was really cute and nice. So this was a really enjoyable, fun book. And then while I was in Chimera Festival, I was not immune. I ended up picking up a copy of Tamlin by Aven Wildsmith from Knight Errant's Press's Table in the Creator Hall. And this was really cute. I read it in like half an hour. It's very easy to read, like heavily illustrated, and you can see it's quite dark and magical. This is a retelling of the Scottish story of Tamlin, which is about a woman who falls in love with a fairy who's under the imprisonment of the fairy queen, and she is trying her best to free this fairy. So it's sapphic. There's a sapphic love story in this. The artwork is really lovely. I'm just going to show you, because I didn't film a spread here, I'm going to show you one of my favorite panels. Look at this. Beautiful. But yeah, it's really not going to take you that long to read it, and I thought this was really nice and a fun way to pass the time. It's by no means a new favourite, but sometimes with my graphic novels I'm just here to have an enjoyable time, and this is what that gave me. And so we've come to, there was a little bonus graphic novel, but we've come to the last graphic novel of this vlog, and that is going to be, finally, Kindred by Octavia E. Butler, the graphic novel edition, which is adapted by Damian Duffy and Jennings. Really nice alliteration in those names there. But yes, Kindred is my favourite Octavia E. Butler that I've ever read, and I plan to read lots more. And I was curious about seeing this in graphic novel form ever since I saw that it has been made into a graphic novel. So I'm going to enjoy rereading this book through a graphic novel. I'll show you the artwork, and as you can see, I've made the tea here. I've tried this tea before, so I already know what it tastes like, but I will still give you a little review. So delicious. So of all the chamomile teas I've ever tasted, Tea Pig's chamomile tea is my absolute favourite. I think they do chamomile tea the best. I think it probably is because they keep the individual chamomile flowers rather than crushing them. But I really just love it. I think it really is the best chamomile tea ever. So if you are looking for a chamomile tea, Tea Pig's is the way to go. Let's do some reading. Hi, hello. So I actually was going to check in with you once I reached halfway through Kindred, but I just didn't because I feel like I don't have this much to say on this particular graphic novel. So we just had Father's Day, we went out for Father's Day brunch, and yesterday I reached halfway through this graphic novel and I decided to finish it as soon as I got home. So I had some tea. My brother-in-law has brought tea from China and I've been digging into that. Loose leaf tea, that's really nice. And I finished reading Kindred, the graphic novel. So I've shown you the artwork, and the artwork is not actually my favourite artwork. It serves the story, it does what it needs to do, but I did find myself reading the text more than spending time looking at the artwork, which I think is partly why I read this so quickly. Usually I'm someone who spends a lot of time looking at the images and the graphics, which is why I read Ghost Rose so slowly but then whizzed through this one very quickly. If the art doesn't capture my attention, that's like, as Simi said when I was talking to them about this book, artwork is 80% of a graphic novel, especially one that you've read before. What I really loved about this book is that it felt like rereading Kindred to me. I haven't reread Kindred before, but I still consider it one of my favourite books. So maybe I should reread that at some point, but reading this graphic novel and revisiting and relearning the story really struck me, and there's some sentences that I know are straight out of the novel that just hit hard all over again, especially as Kindred is just something so timeless, and with everything that we have going on with racism across the world at the moment and the steps that we are taking, which is petrifying, this felt even more relevant and applicable than, you know, ever before. It just always feels timeless, it just always feels relevant. And the point of reading this book was never to be like, read the graphic novel instead of reading the book. I still highly recommend reading the book, but I think graphic novels are great like this for being accessible to the people that do only read comics. I'm not going to recommend them a 400-page historical fiction with sci-fi elements book. They're never going to pick that up. So if you do want to try Kindred, but reading long-form novels is not your kind of thing, then I highly recommend you pick up this graphic novel, because it does do a good job of shortening and adapting the story, and the visual images are very good for giving you the message and the story that you need. However, over reading this, I will always recommend reading like the original book, because that is something else and something special. What else will I say about this? There are content warnings for Kindred, and I think those content warnings really apply to the novel, but please, if you're reading this graphic novel, there is one big content warning. I'm going to put that first in the description box where I put the content warnings for Kindred. It struck me a lot more because you see it visually on the page and it does not shy away from that visual image, and I know that can be very triggering for people. So I'm going to put that in the description box down below. If you choose to read Kindred in the graphic novel form, you need to know about that content warning going in. Okay, so that is that. Those are the 5 graphic novels that I've read for this vlog, 5 over 4. We had a little bonus there. I hope you enjoyed being on this graphic novel vlog journey with me. Let me know in the comment section down below, what is one of your favourite graphic novels, and do you like the art in it in particular? Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!